Hey everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Michiel and today we'll be looking at the Orea Type B glass brewer again. So I previously did a review video for this brewer, but I mentioned in that video that actually it only brews up to 2 cups, like 1 to 2 cups, up to 300 mils typically is what I do with it. But I want to see how far can I push this and can you really use this in a situation if you have multiple people over. I'd say there are several factors limiting us in terms of how much can we brew with this. One main factor being that the brewer sits quite deep in the carafe, so how much liquid we can have inside the carafe is limited by the brewer sitting inside the carafe. The carafe itself, I think, goes up to about 700 mils of liquid, but I think we probably are only able to push it to about 500. Additionally, the cone is limiting the amount of water that can be in the cone at the same time. I think within the wave filters you can put about 150 to 200 grams of butter at a time, so we need to make sure we have a slow pouring recipe that doesn't overfill the cone and make it overflow. And additionally, we have the amount of beans. So these filters aren't made to make these type of sized brews, so I'm not sure if the filter will start clogging because of the amount of beans that we're using not being the right amount of beans. But we'll test that today and we'll find out how much exactly can we brew with this brewer in this setup. So my water has just boiled, so I will preheat the brewer, pour some water into the bottom first and then moving towards the sides. Just make sure the brewer is nice and hot. That should do it. Make sure the filter is properly seated in there without burning my hands. Just with a bit of a challenge. Make sure it sits level, because if it doesn't, we won't brew evenly, which is not what we want. So I'm just going to add my dose of beans, which is 30 grams, that we need to brew a 500 milliliter brew. And you can see this fills up quite a large part of the cone, because that's the whole point of trying this. This brewer isn't really made to do this type of brews. So I will need to pour slowly to make sure that we don't overfill the brewer. I ground quite coarse because I expect this to be quite a slow brew. And additionally, this is a natural coffee and I don't like to brew my natural coffees to a very high strength. So let's start the brew. So I'm just gonna slowly pour up to 100 grams. I'll try to limit the agitation because this brew is already more beans than this filter is used to. At the same time, I want to make sure everything gets wet, so I'm very carefully using my WDT to kind of make sure everything is wet. So at the 1 minute mark, I will start pouring again. So it seems like it has fully drained down. Just circular pour, slow pouring. I need to make sure I just don't overfill the cone. That I got an even brew bag. So it's my second pour. Try to do a little bit of agitation to kind of exactly get those little spots wet. Make sure we don't have excessive channeling. It seems to be drawing down fairly quickly, which is a good thing because I was worried this one was going to be a very slow brew. So I'm trying to do approximately 100 gram pours. I'm not very precise. Also trying to see what fits in the cone. Trying to keep it filled up, trying to keep it nice and hot. As you can see, so far there hasn't been any stalling. The flow rate has been quite good. I've ground at a 5.5 on my ZP6, which is as coarse as I've ever gone, so I'm quite curious what the result will be. Make sure if there are any channels that I close them up without the risk of over agitation, which, even though this brewer doesn't clog very easily, I'm still kind of worried about clogging it. If you hear noise in the background, there's a storm going on over here. There's not much I can do about it. So just to make sure all the beans have gone wet, I will just give it a final stir. See, hope that still draws down and doesn't clog. Seems to draw down smoothly. What you're probably not able to see, but I'm able to see, is that we're also starting to really get close to hitting the bottom of the brewer. So I think brewing 500 grams is probably a smart call. I don't think you can get much higher without getting a much bigger carafe. So I know Orea actually has their own carafe, which is bigger. Okay, so that looks like it is fully drawn down. So far, that has worked. It's now the most important part, which is the taste. How does it taste? Does it taste good? I think in terms of volume, we probably could have pushed it up to 600, but let's see how this brewed. Let's see if it's delicious. You'll see me soon with a cup in my hand, and I'll be tasting. I've set up my camera near the spot. I've let the coffee cool down a little bit. I'll pour a little bit into my cup to taste. So this coffee is a Brazilian coffee. It's a mix of the Larina varietal, which is a type of Arabica that has low caffeine, and Aramosa, which is a blend of Arabica and Racemosa, which is a different type of coffee, which also has lower caffeine. So it's a low caffeine mix of two coffees. It's from Brazil. It had an anaerobic treatment. It's quite a nice coffee. It's fruity and delicious. I hope we've hit the right extraction on this. I'll taste now. So it's actually a very good cup. I'd say it's a bit on the lower side in terms of extraction, but I prefer that with this coffee. It's also one of the reasons I actually picked this coffee for this recipe. I think if you had a harder to extract, higher grown, more natural coffee, this recipe might have a bit more difficulty, I'd say. For this recipe, a good body, good sweetness, some acidity still left, some fruitiness. It's a very nice coffee. So I'd say, especially considering I've never tried this before, this is a good result. I'm very happy with this coffee. I wouldn't know this was an experiment. I would happily drink this if I got served this in a cafe. Overall, I'd say a successful experiment. If there's anything else you want me to test with Orea Glass brewer, I'm happy to do so. I love making these videos. I love experimenting. I love trying new things. I think I could have pushed this probably up to 600 grams if I really wanted to, but I thought 500 grams was kind of a safe bet. But I think if you have one at home, you have the carafe from the V60 carafe, you probably could push it up to 600, but no guarantees, as I haven't tried it. The recipe could probably be worked on a bit more, but I kind of like the 5-pour simple 100 gram pours each time recipe that I did, because it's very simple to reproduce. It's easy to remember. It's easy to teach to other people, and if suddenly a bunch of people come over and you only have your Orea, it's a good recipe that you can do to make 4 small cups or 3 still kind of small cups or 2 like large cups. So that's it for today. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate anybody who watches these videos. If If you like this video and you're still here, please subscribe to my channel for future videos and like this video. It will really help me in terms of engagement on YouTube. And for now, I'll say have a beautiful day.